If there's one question we're asked more frequently than any other, it is, will my pets be with me in heaven? A heaven without our animal friends would not be a heaven at all. So we're glad to report that every animal that you have ever loved is waiting for you in a beautiful eternity where love never ends. In this video, I explain what we know about our pets in the afterlife from communications by people now living there. Hello, I'm Dr. R. Craig Hogan, President of the Afterlife Research and Education Institute and Seek Reality Online. Our pets are of a fundamentally different spiritual nature than human beings. However, when any non-human creature develops a love bond with a person, that animal develops an individual identity and enters the human afterlife as a young and healthy version of itself. Your pet might stay with members of your human family who have gone on before you, but it is more likely that it will stay in a group home and play with other animals while it waits for you to come and have a joyous reunion. Since the sense of time is different there, your pet will not mind that it has been a while since you've come. They are waiting for you to take it home with you. You may be wondering how many of your pets will be there. People who enjoy their animal companions love many cats or dogs or birds or other animals in their lifetimes. The communications we have received from the afterlife tell us that all of the pets are going to be waiting for their human friends. There are communications from people who made the transition to the afterlife describing a mob of dogs, cats, and other animals greeting them, and they first had to pet and love every one of them before their human loved ones could get near enough to hug them. It isn't only our beloved house pets that are in heaven. Farm and circus animals that have been loved by a human being likewise are waiting for the people who love them when they get to heaven. We have heard about families who have compounds there that will continue through generations that include farm animals. Reports of dogs, cats, and other animals appearing at deathbeds are common. Your deathbed visitors are going to be the loved ones that you most likely want to have to take you from your deathbed into the afterlife. So even if your transition is in your 90s, if you were very close to a pet in your childhood, it might well be among those who come for you. Our pets in the afterlife often give us signs and communications. A familiar bark or meow or a rub against the leg or a cold nose against an arm. These are frequent little signs. Animals that had slept on our beds will sometimes continue to do that. So we might be reading or watching TV and we will distinctly feel our pet jump up onto the bed and then see and feel the little paw indentations as our beloved furry friend walks to their sleeping place, where we will see and feel the greater indentation as they curl up to sleep at our feet. Full-blown visions of animals are rare, but they can happen too. Roberta Grimes, Vice President of Seek Reality Online, describes a dream visitation from her horse. In her dream, she saw her beloved horse Bo in a harness in front of her, pulling the cart in which they had enjoyed exploring the dirt roads near their home. He was trotting along happily, and she was in rapture. When she awoke and recalled the dream, she knew what it meant. Bo was thanking her for keeping him safe during his life and gently caring for him until he died. One account of a person being greeted after his passing by a loved animal was recorded by Betty Green and George Woods during a Leslie Flint seance in 1974. Leslie Flint had the remarkable ability to have people in the afterlife speak audibly in the room through an ectoplasmic voice box that had air like breath flowing over the vocal cords to create audible voices. The deceased person's name was George Wilmot. George had 2 wives, but didn't get along particularly well with either of them. However, he was greeted warmly when he died by a beloved animal.
Mind you, I was always fond of people. I always took an interest in people. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think I can say this with honesty, that often people will come and ask me proper questions if they're in trouble. It's always glad to help people. I'm very fond of people. But the odd thing was, and in a way I'm not surprised, because I was so fond of her. But my old Jenny was the one that I first saw when I come in. Yeah, nah, that's got you guessing. But Jenny wasn't either of my wives, thank God. It was my horse. Oh, yeah, she loved Jenny. She used to pull my cuff when my earlier years in the 30s, I was real upset when poor Jenny collapsed and died, She was as near to me as any woman could be. In fact, more so. I had great affection and regard for old Jenny, and she knew everything that I ever said to her. I'm sure she did. She was as small, as cute as they got. She was a real beaut. She wasn't much to look at, I suppose, as horses go, of course, but she was a real nice old nag, she was. And the first thing I remember when I woke up over here was being in I suppose you'd call it a field. Seemed to be sitting lying under a tree, and I remember sort of waking up, and I could see this horse coming towards me. And there was my old Jenny. God, she looked younger, of course, and she was so thrilled and so happy. You could sense and feel it. I can't say how. I mean, this is something I can't explain. But it's almost as if she was talking to me. It was extraordinary. I couldn't hear any voice, and you don't expect to hear a horse speak. But it was somehow mentally, I suppose, now I realise it must have been as if she was speaking to me and welcoming me. And she came and stood beside me and was licking my face. Goodness me, I never forget this as long as I live. And I was so thrilled, so excited. And I was patting her and fussing her, and it was as if I heard a voice behind me, and I turned round, and there was a fine-looking chap. She was about 6'2", tall, fair-haired, young, and he was such a nice fella. And he says, "I'll come to look after you." So I says, "Come look after me." What are you talking about? I sort of so taken back, what with Jenny and the rest of it. He says, "Yeah, I'm going to look after you." He says, "I've been in charge of you." So what do you mean in charge of me? I'm always capable of looking after me still. Always had to anyway. He says, "No, you don't understand." He says, "You know you're dead." Of course, for the moment, it struck me like a thunderbolt, And it suddenly came to me, of course, Jenny had been dead some years, and I'd had another old nag after her, you see. Nice horse, but never to me like Jenny. So he says, "You're dead." And I thought, well, I don't know what to make of this now. So it seemed as if he was able to show me something. I don't know whether he showed it to me, I suppose he did. But I could see myself lying in a bed, stiff and stark, And it's as if, it was as if I was looking at my own body, and yet I wasn't there, and yet I was there. And I saw them put this body on the trolley, take it out of the bed, put it on a trolley, wheel it away. I was walking behind this body being wheeled out. And then it all disappeared. And I was back where I was with this bloke. And I found out afterwards his name was Michael. So I said, he said, "My name is Michael." So I said, "Oh, yes." So he says, "Julian, you're dead." So I said, "I don't know what to think." He says, "We've just had that realisation, that vision light, a few body light." He says, "You died in that hospital." So I said, "Well, I recollect now I was very ill in hospital. But if this how can I be dead when I'm here and I'm talking to you and I've got Jenny?" He says, "Well, isn't Jenny and it's still some evidence to you you're dead?" So I said, "Well, it seems very strange." And then again I said, "If I'm in heaven, if that's it," I said, "It's better find horses then." I said, "They ain't got no souls, do they?" So I said, "That's what they tell you on the earth." He says that they ain't got no sort of other life, only just a whole material life, as you call it, So he says that horse, because of its nearness to you and the love and affection you showered on it, has given it something which helps it to extend, as he put it, its lifespan. I didn't quite get it. It's like, extended lifespan or this. He said that while you have love and affection and regard for that horse will have an existence. He says human beings don't know their responsibility, he says, to animals.
We know without a doubt that any animals you loved will be there to greet you when you make your transition to the life after this life. You will then live together happily without growing older and with no end to your life or theirs.